Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be reacting to... So, a load of Path of Exile stuff has just dropped.
Souls such as yours do not go quietly into the night.
No, they do not.
They thirst for battle.
They do.
They yearn to prove
Are you talking about Diablo 4 here? You're gonna fight Diablo 4.
To the halls of the dead.
Okay.
Earn your place among us.
I'm already dead.
Under Hinikora's watchful eye, test your mettle against the greatest warriors who ever lived.
Is this PvP? Probably is. To be fair, this is not what we're here for. It's just a little taster. Because they just dropped some Path of Exile 2 gameplay.
Prove yourself in the trial of the ancestors.
Okay. That sounds great. Yeah, we're just gonna... Cool. Right, let's look at some Path of Exile 2 official gameplay overview.
Welcome to Path of Exile 2. We'd like to start off by showing some of the gameplay of Act 3, one of the 6 acts in PoE 2's campaign.
Oh, okay, we're already in the middle of the game.
In the jungle depths.
Okay.
Act 3 is set in the ruins of the Vaal civilization, which fell thousands of years ago.
Okay.
Jungle has taken over their former once great cities, and we'll be exploring it using one of our 6 new character classes, called the Monk.
That game's
Here we
looking
have
very
one
bright and
character class
colourful.
for each of the combinations of strength, dexterity, and intelligence.
Graphics looks good.
When looking at the design of PoE 2, though, we realized that many of the new skills that we were trying to design just didn't really fit thematically with the existing classes that we have.
Okay.
Being a spellcaster with a bear form makes sense for Strength Int, but it doesn't really sound like something that a Templar would do.
Oh.
We realized that since we had new mechanics for every attribute combination, it actually made sense to design new character classes to
Okay.
explore the new themes. In PoE 2, every attribute combination has 2 classes associated with it.
Right.
Strength Int has the Templar or the Druid. On Dexterity, you have the Ranger or the more spear-focused Huntress. And on Dex Int, you have the Shadow and the Monk, which Mark is playing here. Each class has its own 3 ascendancies that let you further specialize
Jesus,
the
okay,
class
there's
in
gonna be a
only
lot
that
of
class has
int.
access to. But they both start at the same location in the passive tree.
Okay.
The quest rewards you're offered on the 2 variants are tailored to the class, but of course, this is PoE. You can still mix and match anything to your heart's content.
Yeah, PoE is really complicated. It's got a lot of depth to it, which...
Looks like we've come across the boss for this area.
Okay.
In PoE 2, every area of the campaign contains a boss of at least this difficulty. That's over 100 bosses to fight as you make your way through.
Oh,
the campaign,
nice.
and they all have unique mechanics to learn.
Oh my god, are you... Jesus. Over 100, what? 100 different bosses? Okay. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's very standard action
As you've seen from watching Mark
RPG.
fight, melee combat in PoE 2 has a very different feel than before.
Okay.
We've done a lot of things to add mobility to combat. Practically every melee skill in PoE 2 has some kind of movement built into it.
Oh.
Monk in particular is a melee fighter who specializes in mobility over brute strength.
So, get up close, do a few hits, be able to escape. Freeze them, okay. So this monk has got like some sort of ice build. I mean, he's kicking the... He's kicking this silverback's fist arse. I don't want to be rude, but I think the boss design in this, yeah, for this boss, it's rather simple. It's just a silverback with a pillar. Just does like some swings.
As Mark has been playing, you might have noticed these blue markers over enemies.
Yes.
Mark has a skill equipped called Killing Palm. Whenever an enemy has a blue indicator over it, it means that the monster has low enough life to cull with Killing Palm.
Oh.
Successfully executing the cull will give you a power charge. This is an important skill for the monk, since many of his skills interact with power charges.
I see.
One of the great things about the skill is that it has a built-in dash forward, which makes it much easier to target the skill at the right point when you need it.
Oh, okay,
We've done
that's
a
good.
lot of work in PoE 2 to make using skills like this feel satisfying. If you're accidentally targeting slightly off the monster, the skill will automatically lock on to the cullable target, and will even do a small amount of pathfinding around obstacles. We really want to make sure that when you've got an opportunity to use the skill, nothing.
You will use the skill. I don't know if that in certain situations you're not gonna want to attack the enemy, but
you need some skills to power up.
probably
Great
are.
follow-up is Falling Thunder. Falling Thunder without a power charge just creates a relatively small lightning AoE in front of you.
But with it,
But do it with some power charges, and it turns into a pack clear.
There
with
you
a large
go.
number of extra projectiles.
I like that. I like having
You'll
to
notice
combo
that,
your
like
skills
almost
off
every
to
melee
get
skill in PoE2, Falling Thunder has a bit of extra
better
movement built in
damage.
just in case you need it. Using the skill within range, and you'll do a flip in place. But use it at a larger range, and your character will move forward while executing it, getting you into
Okay.
position without any time penalty.
Nice.
In PoE2, you also get a short period to redirect your target. Notice how you can start the skill facing one way,
Yeah.
and whip the mouse sideways to land the skill in a different direction.
Oh.
In order to get power charges, you're going to first need to get some lower life monsters into a colorable range. You've got a few options. If you want to charge right in, Whirling Assault
Okay.
is a good option. It doesn't do much damage per hit,
I like
but it covers a lot
changing
of ground.
directions rather
Notice how you
quickly.
can turn as you do it?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you never lose control of your character in PoE2. If
Oh.
you make a turn at the right time, you can get a couple of extra hits in on the monsters, getting them into range of your cull.
Okay.
Follow up with a Killing Palm, then finish off the rest of the pack with your Falling Thunder.
It's interesting they're using a
Now
melee
enter the
kind
Vile
of build.
Mechanary. This is the place where the
the
Vile
class
built
to
the
show
various
off.
constructs they relied on to power their civilization.
Now this is a find. A Vile ruin that hasn't been looted.
Oh, sup.
I wonder why nobody's been in here before.
Hey, what's good?
One useful feature that we've added is the ability to call in NPCs to where you are, to give you more information, help you with quest objectives.
Oh, that's
so You
nice.
don't have to always go back to town. In this case, we'll call in Alva to find out what to do.
This mechanism, if powered with a small soul core, it could open that door.
I see.
There should definitely be soul cores somewhere around here.
Of course, there's always the thing you need to open the thing right by.
As Alpha said, we need to find a soul core to open this door. Let's explore. If you want to shave off some life without getting too close to some of the more dangerous monsters, a good option is Wind Blast. Wind Blast also doesn't do too much damage, but it keeps
Okay.
the enemies back. The closer they are, the
CC.
farther they're pushed back. So it's a great option for keeping smaller but high damage enemies at bay. Note that the bigger the enemy is, the less they'll be pushed back. So try not
Oh,
to push back some
obviously.
giants isn't gonna be
Okay.
effective.
That's nice.
And there's the soul core. Let's get back to the door.
We're not going to address the giant bubble back there. Where's that coming up? They're going to address it, I'm guessing. They're going to address it at some point. I definitely like the lighting in this. As long as it feels very responsive. One of the issues I have with Diablo 4 is sometimes my inputs don't feel like they're registering.
I'll keep investigating in here. Bring me in if you find
Again,
anything
that's
else.
something I'm going to have to deal
If
with
you need to defeat
hands-on
tougher
feeling in
enemies,
it. You
might
can't
be
really
time
tell
to break
from
out some
watching
of
it.
the ice skills in the monk's arsenal.
Especially this is like...
Glacial Cascade creates a wave of ice that moves
They
slowly and
deliberately chose this
It's pretty
footage.
ineffective against fast-moving monsters,
and
because
everything's
most of the
designed
damage
to
goes
make
right at the end of the wave.
this look the
And
best.
so a lot of monsters will just walk right by it. But if you can find a way to make a monster stop at just the right place, it can be very
And it looks like they're going
In
for,
order to
again,
do
more
that,
of a
you
traditional
probably want to
ARPG
freeze monsters.
experience.
The monk has a few different tools to do this. A fairly simple option is
But,
to get
like,
right in the monster's
like,
face.
this
with
is the
Ice
first
Strike.
early gameplay
Ice Strike
stuff,
doesn't
so
do
it's
too much
nice
damage
we
on the
finally
first
get some
few hits,
gameplay.
But
But
attack 3 times in sequence, and you can get off a combo that has a much higher chance to freeze.
I think Diablo 4's gone
Get
for
in there with
something
that freeze,
different.
then roll back and finish the job with a Glacial Cascade. Now, remember how Glacial Cascade had that extra
Again, I
damage
could be
spike at
wrong.
the end?
I could be
If you
talking
hit
out
a
my
frozen
ass.
enemy with that spike, it shatters the ice on the enemy and does a devastating amount of damage.
God damn, the monk is just like using lightning, ice,
Oh yeah, I
That's a
just
fire.
casually mentioned rolling back before.
and
Did I
wind.
forget to mention that in PoE2 we added a dodge roll to every character?
Oh my
There's
god,
a
every
space bar
character
at any
dodge
time.
roll.
There's no cooldown, no limitations.
Wait, what?
It even has a bit of built-in pathfinding so you don't get stuck on things. When you dodge roll,
So
you're not
you can
vulnerable.
just spam
Something
dodge
hits you,
rolls.
You're gonna feel it, but most things will not hit you. That's because while rolling, projectiles and melee strikes will always miss.
Okay.
You'll have to roll out of the way of a slam that has AoE, but anyone swinging a sword
Right, so
will fire
AoEs
a
can
fireball
still do
into it.
damage, but okay.
Now, another really important function of the dodge roll is that it lets you cancel out of almost any skill at any time.
Oh my god.
This makes it so you don't feel like you're getting stuck doing a long animation when something is about to hit you.
Oh, that's cool.
It really changes how skills
Animation
and longer attacking
cancelling,
paths
okay.
makes dodge roll feel like a
Okay.
very reliable way to avoid attacks. So,
Alright, that's
one
interesting.
way to get out of the way of damage, but the monk specializes in mobility, so it makes sense that he would have a few more. Wave of Frost is one of our new attacks.
Yep.
With retreat built right in. You move backwards and throw out a cold attack with a significant freeze.
Okay.
The great thing about this is it puts you at a good distance to follow up with Glacial Cascade and do a whole pile of damage. Hey look, another Soul Core.
That's crazy. Please, so cool more.
Another skill you can use to get some extra freeze is Shattering Palm. Shattering Palm is another palm strike that puts a small ice bomb on your target.
Okay.
Kill or deal enough damage to the target and the bomb will explode, doing some damage and a significant freeze. It's a great option against bosses where the wave of ice might not be enough to get that freeze off, but you really want to get that Glacial Cascade damage bonus.
Okay, thanks for that. If this was me, I'll be dodge rolling all the time. Unless it's slower. Look at those rats. They got like exposed
The final skill
skeleton.
we're going to show you today is Flicker Strike. It's a monk skill now, and another skill that consumes power charges.
I see.
If you've played PoE 1, you know what to expect. It's a great
I looked at
finisher for tough boss fights,
PO1 and I was like,
it's
oh
pretty
my
impressive
god,
too.
this is so complicated. It's something you gotta like invest a lot of time into.
Another door. I wonder what could be in there.
Is it treasure? Boss? Come on, show me another boss.
In order
Bro,
to
you
take down
dodged
this
roll
boss,
into
you're
that.
gonna need all the tools in the monk's arsenal, especially the combo of freeze and glacial
There you
cascade.
go.
If you're a PoE 1 player, you might think that you can't really rely on freeze because there's so many bosses that are immune to it. But in PoE 2, that's changing significantly. In PoE
Okay.
1, freeze is a binary mechanic. An attack freezes the target, or it doesn't. What this basically means is that in PoE 1, we were forced to add freeze immunity to many bosses. Because
Right.
freeze just trivialized them. Because of that, freezing was something you only really used while pack clearing, and not something you could rely on as a core part of your build for boss fight. In PoE 2 though, all crowd control mechanics now have internal meters that allow you to build up to a freeze or stun,
Right.
or whatever other CC mechanic you might be using.
It's
a little
basically
bit like
all
polish
new.
in games like
Okay, all
Warcraft,
that stuff
so
has a
the meters tend to
meter,
be a lot smaller than
and
when you freeze an
as you
enemy,
do it more
it
and
increases
more,
the
you
amount of
fill up
freeze
the
you need to do
meter.
another freeze. But
Okay.
the increased difficulty bleeds away slowly. More freeze
Oh,
will
right,
always
so
let you
less
freeze
you-
the boss more often.
Okay.
But this system means it will not get out of control in party play or interact badly with other CC mechanics,
Okay.
allowing us to let these kinds of mechanics actually work against all bosses.
Well, at least they saw an issue and went, okay, having it binary means it just makes everything super easy, so we have to negate it, which makes it completely invalid and useless. So this, at least having like a meter, like a stagger meter for it, makes a lot more sense and makes it more viable. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder, okay, I know they said it wouldn't affect it too much in party play, but is it because the meter is individual to you and not to the party? Or is it to the party and because you're in the party play, the bleed time is higher, or the stagger amount is higher, or the meter fill up amount required is higher? I wish we could see some like multiplayer stuff. Because one good thing about Diablo that I really like, it's super easy to just drop in and play with a friend. Unless you're on a higher tier, but then you could just drop down to a lower tier to them. I think that's what like makes Diablo a pretty good casual, like player-friendly game, like a casual
Blackjaw
friendly
has got the
game.
consumable quest item, the flame.
And I really like the
It's a
fact that,
permanent
oh,
plus 10
okay, they've gone,
In PoE 2,
yeah,
we
they've
really want
they've
to make
kept
sure
the
that people
same
are rewarded for
inventory
exploration.
management.
It wouldn't be much good if we made all these awesome optional bosses if we didn't have something great to find for killing them.
Oh, okay.
One of the things you might find for killing a boss is a permanent stat bonus to your character.
Oh, Well, that might be more fun than finding statues and getting renowned. Jesus, that's like the worst bit of Diablo 4. Just trying to find all the renown and all the statues. I still don't think I found all the statues, and I still haven't found all the renown. I couldn't. I'll find some nice, interesting bosses for bonus stats. Sounds good. Well, seems good. Seems good so far. I definitely like the dodge roll cancel. And you know, it's not having a limit to it. I mean, that's the one thing with on Diablo 2 is try to dash out of stuff's way so you don't die. Feels like the only thing you can do to cancel animation in Diablo 4 is to dash. Oh god. That was pretty much okay. This is it? Or just skip along, okay.
The Sorceress is the new intelligence-focused character.
Okay, here we go. Sorceress
While the
gameplay.
Witch focuses more on occult magic and summoning, the Sorceress is themed around pure elemental destruction.
Okay.
Let's have a look at how she plays.
All the vaunted technology of the Val, and look where it got them. Dead and buried. This is the largest soul core I've ever seen.
Are they, I'm guessing they're playing with another
With
player
this, we
then.
could power the canal systems.
Oh, that's good.
It isn't charged.
We don't really care about this. I just want
Was to spin them up.
We have some skills here that you'll
we
probably
go.
recognize if you've played PoE 1 before, but they feel a bit different to play now. Spark is great in these tight passages since it bounces around. We've added a pierce
Oh,
support
okay.
to really allow it to hit an entire room of targets.
Jesus.
For a more
Alright.
single target focus skill, Arc is a good choice. It does more damage to the first target you hit.
Right. So Spar, okay. So you got
Now, if you find
AoE
yourself
and single
surrounded,
target.
It might be good to use Ice Nova. It hits all enemies around you and slows them down with chill. Just be careful. Getting up close and personal isn't the ideal place for a sorceress to be. She doesn't
Clearly
have the
not.
defenses of a more melee-oriented character. If you want to help with the sorceress's weak melee defense, though, you could use Arctic Armor. In PoE 2, Arctic Armor is a buff that builds up as you stand still. You can see the ice crystals forming around the character.
Oh. Okay.
They'll drop off if you walk. When
Ah.
monsters hit you, they take cold damage and build up to a freeze, so it's a great defense. Just be careful. You have to be standing still for a little while to get the full effect, so trying to stutter step isn't the best strategy.
Yeah.
Armor is an ongoing buff, but did you notice it didn't reserve any mana? How does that work? Well, we were pretty sick of the fact that in PoE 1 basically every character was playing with no mana pool, so we decided to change the way that reservation works.
Okay.
There's a new resource in PoE 2 called Spirit. Spirit is a dedicated resource you can use for ongoing effects like Arctic Armor, Heralds, Auras, or even Minions. Everyone starts with 100 Spirit, which is enough for most ongoing effects.
Right.
But if you want more than one effect, you're going to need some more Spirit. Spirit is available on mods from items and on the passive tree. But if you're willing to give up your offhand slot, the easiest way to get it is by holding a Scepter.
Okay. Some more resources to
Now,
manage.
if you want to increase the cold damage you're dealing, you can use a Frost Bomb. It places a bomb on the ground that reduces the enemy's cold resistance while it's ticking down. It's a
Oh.
great opportunity to use some cold skills before it explodes. And speaking of cold skills, a great skill to use on monsters with the slower cold resistance is Comet. This is a new skill in PoE 2, and it hits pretty damn hard. It costs a lot of mana and has a really long cast time, but it's worth the wait. It does a devastating amount of damage.
Well, luckily
Now,
you're going to
when
get that
you're at
ice
range,
shield.
It moves back slightly as it casts. It's pretty hard to hit a fast-moving opponent, but it's great on tougher enemies that stand still, or even a larger pack if you're further away and can predict where they're going to move.
Bosses, isn't it? It's going to be like the
Now,
giant
if you run
bosses.
out of mana casting too many of those, I guess in an emergency you could cast your free-to-cast Fireball.
Oh.
Where did that come from, you ask? Well, this is a great opportunity to explain the way we've changed caster weapons in PoE 2. Now, in PoE 1, caster weapons had a default melee attack that nobody used, and because
Right.
they had that, they also had a bunch of attack mods that would spawn in them that were useless to a caster. In PoE 2, we wanted to clean that up, so now each staff comes with a built-in free-to-cast spell.
Oh, that's
Just put
nice.
it on and spam to your heart's content. Now, this particular staff is the base type that you get right on the starting beach. and it's quite likely that you're going to outgrow it. So that's why we have a lot of staves with more utility-focused powers for casters to use.
I
Here we
see.
have a crystal staff. It's got a pretty cool built-in spell called Unleash. Using it slams your staff on the ground, and will allow you to triple cast whatever you cast with your next spell. Now, of
Oh.
course, you're probably going to want to use that with something powerful. Common is a
Jesus
great
Christ.
option.
Okay, yeah. I
You'll
I
notice
see what's
that
going on.
Unleash is one of the few skills in PoE 2 with a cooldown. In general, we really try to avoid using cooldowns because we really hate the feeling that combat is just waiting to be able to use your next skill.
Yes.
But it does make
Yes.
sense for Unleash since it's free to cast and it's something we want you to be using situationally anyway.
Okay, so some skills
Now,
are going to
if
have a
you're facing something
cooldown
tough,
time.
You might want to try out Mana Tempest. Mana Tempest creates a circle of power in which your character literally hovers over the ground. While in the circle, your mana drains, but it powers up all
I feel
of
like a
your
lot
spells.
of this is kind of
Projectiles
response to
walk,
the
beams
Diablo
change, and you also do a lot more damage.
nerfs a few days ago, maybe a week ago, because it's like, oh, we don't like cooldowns either. Even though they did fix that, I think they did buff it. I believe. I could be wrong. I haven't checked the patch notes recently. Okay, so load of skills.
So with all of these skills, here's a great combo to try. First, cast Frostbomb to reduce the target's cold resistance.
Okay.
Then use Mana Tempest to increase your damage. Follow it with Unleash, and then triple cast the Comet to do a truly insane amount of damage.
That's a pretty powerful combo.
I need more time.
I like combos.
This rare monster dropped an uncut gem.
My
This
god.
is a good opportunity to talk about how skill gems drop in PoE 2. Instead of dropping specific gems, you can find uncut gems. Just right-click on them and pick whatever skill you want.
Oh.
The gem will come pre-leveled to the level of the area that dropped it, so it's a lot easier to change between skills in PoE 2. This time, I think it might be cool to grab
Jesus.
one of our meta gems. Meta gems are skills that can have other skills socketed into them, changing how they work. In this case, we're going to select Cast on Shock. Now, let's equip this thing in the skill screen and choose a spell to trigger with it. I think Comet might be fun.
So if you
Let's
cast
on
Comet, it's going to
Shock
cast
as a
Shock
spirit
as well.
To first disable our Arctic armor. We have to decide if we'd rather have the extra defense or the extra offense of the Cast on Shock using our spirit. In PoE 2, trigger gems use a system of filling up cast time on each trigger. Basically, if a skill has a short cast time, then we'll trigger it really often. If it's got a long cast time, like this Comet here, it will take a lot longer to trigger.
Right.
You can see up the top left that there's a counter that says how far it is until your next trigger.
Oh
Here you
yeah.
are, using Cast on
20%.
Shock, we'll automatically cast Comet whenever we're using our lightning skills.
Oh my god. Because the skill is so good that it takes a longer cast time. But you lost the shield thing. Okay.
So we've found the generator. Time to power it up.
Here we go. Generator time. Oh my god.
As power is restored to the mechanarium, all
Yes.
the constructs are coming back to life.
Okay.
We'll need to fight them on the way back to the charged soul core.
Standard, just kill everything.
One thing that PoE 1 players might have noticed is that this character has both ice and lightning spells. That's pretty inefficient, isn't it? It's a big no-no for most builds because any specialization into cold or lightning isn't going to affect the other element.
Yes.
Generic elemental damage increases are not going to be as powerful as focusing on a single element. Well, in PoE 2 we have another major new system to introduce to solve these kinds of problems, and it starts with weapon swap. Now in PoE 1, weapon swap isn't really used much for its originally intended use case. We imagined that people were going to be swapping in and out between different weapons to deal with whatever situation they were in.
But they
People
didn't.
just don't do that at all. And a large
Yeah,
reason for
that's
that is
crazy.
it's really awkward to do. In PoE 2 we wanted to solve that. The staff Octavian is using here has an ice mod on it that makes it great for when he's using his ice spells. We would also like to be able to make sure that the build works just as well for his lightning spells. If Octavian equips his previous staff in his second weapon set, you can see that it appears on the character's back. Now we're going to open up the skills screen.
Okay.
If Octavian opens up the skill options for his lightning skills, you can see here that you can choose which weapon sets are usable with each skill. First, we uncheck set 1 from being used by his lightning skills. Then, we go through the cold skills.
Oh my.
until it
Okay,
goes
this
up to
seems
his
like a
lightning.
lot of work, but I can see the benefit. It means you don't have to focus on one
Now,
thing. You
when
can
we use
kind
Spark,
of...
the character will automatically switch to the lightning staff on his back.
Right.
And use the skill.
Oh,
If Octavian
okay.
uses Ice Nova, his character automatically switches over to his ice staff before using it.
It's like a couple of second
You get each
animation
skill
there,
for which
but...
set to use, or both if you don't mind which. There's a very short time penalty to switching,
Yep.
so it can be good to leave some skills on both sets if it doesn't matter which weapon set you're using. But we still have the problem of
That's
passives.
pretty sick, though.
Wouldn't it be nice if we
I
could
like that.
specialize in both cold and lightning passives on the character? Well, in Here We 2, you can.
This is what
We're
scares
on the
me.
passive skill screen here, and you can see that we're close to both a cold and a lightning cluster. At the top right of the screen, you can see where we have some weapon set specific points to allocate. If Octavian holds shift, he can allocate set 1 to the cold passives, and then allocate set 2 to the lightning passives.
Oh, okay.
Now check this out. As we weapon swap, our passive tree changes from one build to the other.
My
automatically.
god.
Whenever we cast the appropriate spell, the character's passives reconfigure on the fly to the correct build for that spell. Now you can't do this with every passive on your tree. Only points granted from skill books will allow this kind of dual specialization. So you can't change from a mace slamming warrior into a fire elementalist with the press of a button. But it certainly increases the number of options you have for builds.
Okay.
There's a huge number of places where the system can shine. You could augment your Dagger Shadow build with traps, or have a great curse setup on your Witch in one spec and then move to your Chaos debuff spells with the other. It really opens up your options.
I need more time.
Just need more options. Holy sh... The amount of in-depth you can go. Oh my
Another
god.
fun meta gem to try out is called Barrier Invocation. This works a little bit like the trigger gem I talked about before. So this one charges up as your energy shield is hit by monsters. I think we might like to put an Ice Nova in this one. The more energy shield you lose, the more charge builds up until the point where you're able to cast the skill you socketed instantly.
It's...
Lose some energy shield,
My god.
and at just the right time invoke Ice Nova to cast all the stacked up versions in one cast. If you keep losing shield, you
Yep.
build up even more charge for even more casts, so it's a great defensive option in an emergency.
That's the kind of thing you're just like, hit me. Hit me. Just cast all your spells. This isn't... Okay. This is nuts. Alright.
And here we are, back at the charged soul.
Okay.
All we have to do now is take it. How hard could that be?
We're gonna fight a boss. It's crazy. Well, they're gonna fight a boss.
Oh dear. Now we just have to remove it from that construct. I'll leave that to you.
Okay, that guy looks cool. I just like how they immediately just went, oh yeah, we're just gonna go behind them. Oof. Okay, so we've seen some like variations in the boss design. To be fair, I think two of them are kind of humanoid-ish. I'm trying not to play favorites right here. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. There's clearly a world where both games can exist, Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4. I feel like just the nature of Path of Exile 2, it's like super complicated. The inventory system is still like old school ARPG where like depending on your item it takes up a certain amount of slots, which I'm not a massive fan of personally. I do like Diablo's system where it just takes up a square no matter what it is, so I don't have to worry about picking up certain items. But then the level of customization and build customization in this is insane, and the fact that you can essentially easily cancel animations out. Automatic weapon switching as well. There's a lot to like about this. Well, that's crazy. It's dead.
So that's Path of Exile 2. Your next question is likely to be, when is the beta? Well, we're in our last year of development, finishing acts, adding skills, and balancing everything. The closed beta will start on June 7th, 2024. Path of
June
Exile 2 has been a
7th.
long time coming.
Well, guys, we got a while to wait. June. That's almost a year. That's like 11 months. That's 11 months. Well, just under a year. Well, okay, it's looking mighty interesting. I definitely like the weapon switching, automatic, slight 2-second delay. Shouldn't be too bad. Also, cancel animations with the dodge roll looks really interesting. The amount of customization is still as same as ever. It does look like it's going to be very overwhelming, especially for a casual like me who just looks at that still and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Inventory management is still classic, which me personally I don't like. I know some old school players or people might like that. They don't really show much multiplayer. They just, I think in this section with the sorceress we saw, they did have another player there. So who knows how that's going to work. But yeah, we'll probably find out little bits and drips throughout the coming months, and then next year the beta where we can find out even more information. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad they finally dropped some gameplay of it. I gotta go edit this now, but let me know if you're excited for Path of Exile 2. I'm glad they finally dropped some gameplay. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Morse. Marvelous. Together on the track. Let's go. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, sus.